Or worse yet, I've seen this happen. Implode.
The world will not implode.
Implode. And if by some miracle none of that happens, eventually I'm going to run out of food.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Talk Word. This is where we get to dig in and uncover the stories behind some really fascinating English words. Today we are tackling a super powerful and dramatic one, implode. And you might think, oh, it's just the opposite of explode, but trust me, it's so much more than that. It's a word that really captures a unique kind of collapse, both in the physical world and, in our own lives too. So this is the perfect question to start with, right? We all have a pretty clear picture of what an explosion looks like, a huge, forceful blast that goes outward. But an implosion? Well, it's the total opposite. It's a collapse that goes inward. And once you really get that fundamental difference, the rest of the word just totally clicks into place. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the literal meaning. Before we get into all the metaphorical stuff, we've got to understand how things actually implode in the physical world. And there it is. The most important word in that entire definition is inward. See, unlike an explosion that expands out, an implosion is all about a violent collapse toward its center. A great way to picture it is an old building being demolished. The walls fall in on themselves, not out onto the street. That's a perfect visual for an implosion. This little comparison makes the difference crystal clear. With an explosion, you've got all this internal pressure pushing outward. It bursts apart, kind of like a balloon that you've overinflated. But with an implosion, it's the complete opposite. It's the external pressure that crushes the object inward. It's really a battle of opposing forces. Now, to really, truly understand implode, let's peek under the hood and look at its inner workings. A word's Latin roots are like its original blueprint, and they give us a much deeper appreciation for how it's used today. And here are the building blocks. It's so cool. First, you've got the prefix im, which means inward. You see this all the time in words like import, to bring goods in. Then there's the root plaudere, which means to strike. So you put them together, and you literally get to strike inward. I mean, doesn't that just paint the most vivid picture of that violent inward collapse we've been talking about? But here is where it gets really fun. We don't just use implode to talk about buildings or submarines. Language is so flexible. The word has taken on this incredibly powerful metaphorical meaning that we use to describe feelings, relationships, and all sorts of situations. Just take a look at this example. Now, the team didn't literally collapse into a pile on the floor, right? Of course not. What actually collapsed was their internal structure, their communication, their teamwork, their morale. All of it just broke down from within. The pressure came from that deadline, and the collapse was all the internal arguments and failure. So what other kinds of things can implode? Well, just think about all the abstract stuff around us. A person can feel like they're imploding from stress. A whole company can implode because of internal conflict. An economy can even implode when its basic systems fail. The word has become so popular for these situations because it so perfectly captures that feeling of pressure building up until something breaks from the inside, not from some outside attack. In every single one of these cases, the common thread is that internal, inward collapse. All right, let's put all this into practice. Honestly, seeing how a word is actually used in different sentences is the absolute best way to get comfortable using it yourself. Here are 3 really good examples. In the first one, support for the campaign didn't just fade away. It collapsed suddenly, dramatically. In the second, we're talking about a person's internal emotional state just breaking down. And in the third, a company is failing not because of competitors, but because of its own weaknesses. You see the pattern here? It's always about that internal breakdown. So there you have it. We went from a literal physical collapse all the way to a powerful metaphor for an internal breakdown. Implode really is a fantastic word to describe a collapse that comes from within. And its story is just one of thousands waiting for us to explore. If you had fun on this little journey into language, you should definitely check out our companion app, TalkWord. You can literally type in any English word and get a full audio explainer just like this one that breaks down its history, its meaning, and how you can use it. But before you go, we've got a question for you. What's a word you've always been curious about? Drop it in the comments below, and who knows, it just might be the star of our next explainer. Thanks so much for watching, and keep on learning.